Alright, let's talk about the executive final project. So it's gonna be on Android. Okay, you going to look at the Android app. So let's take a look at. So far, we've been introducing you to how to use Android, right? So you can adapt your each class exercises to use this. Now, we have a project share on GitHub. Okay, you can daily clone it or download it from this. Okay, this is the source code for that. So this pretty much is the project. So let me see, we need to run this first and see what we have so far. Now, first thing, you probably want to pull the code that I show from GitHub and then try to make it to run on your machine, okay, on the emulator or on your phone. Okay, so there's some thing that we need to be like rebuild or downloaded to make sure it's going to run. So there's 67 errors that I need to fix, looks like. Okay, let's look at no resource found that matches the given name. So it was looking for this is under resource, right? Output resource doable. So pretty much just this file that giving error. Doable. We actually don't have this. One second. Under resource doable version 21. Output. So what I'm gonna do, let me just go into the location of the project. Okay. So it's under this path. Downloads. So right here. And then it's under output. We don't see the folder name output, huh? One second. Oh, it's different location. So C users Android build catch. 513 output resource doable version 21. So that's the file, huh? That's complaining. So let's do this then. what I'm going to do, let's say for example, I'm going to show you from, this is the resource, right? So we're going to clone the project from this instead, okay? So we're going to clone the project, and let's see, we were using IntelliJ so far, right? Let's see if we can clone into IntelliJ, right? That one is pretty much just the Android Studio, right? That I was looking at. So, but what we try to do is to see if I can just put into IntelliJ or not. All right. I'm going to close this Android Studio out. Since I'm waiting for IntelliJ, okay, it's right there. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna log into Blackboard first, since we're waiting for this to come up. All right, so we finished 4.2. So next class 5.1 is due. We've been talking about the methods already. Right. So I'm going to show you the methods. Okay. Also. So for example, look at the code that we have last time, right? We've been talking about. Since I have this, let me just finish up the file project, otherwise it's confusing, and we come back to the methods. Okay. So we're going to go to open, or let's see if I can open project. I try to import from Git, right? I try to import or open a new project from version control, and we have the code on GitHub, right? Like I said, I already shared the code, right, for you for the final project. Extra credit right there. So we're gonna clone that. Okay, so let's doing the work. Clone it to a new window. Okay. So the whole project pretty much just get cloned here. Okay. Enable error. So the 3 modules cannot be imported. So these are the IntelliJ ideal file. Okay. All right, now, so this is pretty much a source code for the application. So last time we already learned that, so we can go to some POS app source. Inside the source, you can go to the main, or as a resource for the UI interface, right? And the Java code is under Java. You could create a subfolder, which is a package, right? For example, if I look at my main activity, so I create a package named com example, right? So you see com example and Shenzhen, that's the name of a person that helping me developing this application, and Sam Classic, pretty much a student like you too. They contribute on the project. Okay. And this is pretty much on Android, right? So main activity. So you could create a package on the top. Like when you create a package on the top, it's just create a path for you. Okay. Like for example, this is always have package, right? Like last time we will talk about package. Now, if I have edu and VCC, it's pretty much just going to make it under edu and VCC like that package, right? And the main activity is in there. Same thing is like subfolder structure. It depends on you want to look at the package builds or you want to look at the folders or project builds. Okay. So now this is technically a code for an application, right? So if you look at the RES, so this is pretty much just layout. Like for example, activity main. So this is just a code for activity main, right? .xml. So it seems like when I import it to IntelliJ, like by using, because this project is created under Android Studio, right? So it's the structure a little bit different. Okay, like now I was looking at, for example, last time when we do the math applications, right? So we have it under resource and we have it under layout. And I have the main activity. So you see I have the tab for design. There I can see the design, right, of the apps. But this one is since it's created under Android Studio. When I try to pull into IntelliJ, it seems like it's missing those options. Even like when I click this, I cannot run that. Okay, so if I try to use Android Studio to import, so Android Studio pretty much just another IDE which is powered by IntelliJ platform too. So it's going to have pretty much the same menu and structure to use. Okay. So we could do the same. You can open and project from version control, like go to file, right, and open project from version control, like new project from version control, and GitHub. Alright, so I'm linking to my GitHub account. Okay, let me verify that. It's pretty much just you have to have the right username and password, right? Okay, so this is a project that we try to import to Android Studio. So I copy the link. Now github.com, can log in. So the same. Let me try one more time. Okay, it works now. So now I put this URL right to the repository. I'm going to change the parent directory to put my pretty much my project. Let's put under idea projects. So I name it Sampios app. So at this point, it should start to pull the code the same way that we did earlier to IntelliJ. But like I said, it seemed like the layout is different. So that's why I started using Android Studio. Alright, let's see if I can run the application. This is pretty much the whole project here that I just pulled from Git, but it seems like there's some errors to pull out the modules. Alright, so since we're waiting for this to load up, let's explore the code again. So we're gonna have two main folder, right? Java is pretty much where Java code is. RE is pretty much just where your UI interface is, right? That we link to the code. So let's start to look at the layout again for activity main. Alright, for this one we get it up because it's being created in Android Studio, right? So we have, so that's pretty much your main activity, the screen, right? So again, what is this application going to do? It's pretty much just like if you press order, like for the food, like Grubhub or apps, right, that you download. So this is pretty much that type of app that is shopping cart. You can have orders, you have setting, you can log out, you can sign in. So these are pretty much the UI for each interface. So you have separate UI for each page, pretty much, right? On the, like when you launch first time, it's called Sam Classic Thai Restaurant. You can sign in or register, right? So that's first launch, and this is activity main. You can log out, right? Go to settings, you can view your order, go to my orders. When you click on my orders, so when you technically click on my orders, it's going to open this page, right? Activity my orders, right? So this is pretty much just the UI that you design. You can look at each page. This is like an order page. So like I said, this is already have a lot of code for you already. Okay, so for your technically, what we're looking for is you can pretty much enhance this to get you extra credits. Okay. Alright, and we're going to talk about what you need to enhance, how to get. Okay, once you run application, it's just load. That's the first page, right? So that pretty much is the one that we've seen earlier, like, right? The activity launch, right? That page just show, right? You can sign in. So this is the first module that you can enhance. Okay. like register and sign in for your extra credit, right? So you just load this code in and try to play with it, get it to run. You start to register, put your name in, right? So let's say CSC 200, last name Java, phone number, okay, username, email. So let me just test with my okay, test. All right, so CSC 200. There you go. After I register, I sign in, right? So now I go to the main page where I can start to view the food, right? Categories, appetizers. So list of appetizers, right? And you can view your shopping cart. Like if I add this, right? Should Yeah, like this is my shopping cart is empty, right? So soup, salad. Yeah, this is pretty much the part that I think if maybe slice or something, like you can look at how to enhance that, right? How to place an order, add to shopping cart. Another one is we need to look at, these are just the placeholder, right? Placeholder. So your focus now is just getting the shopping cart to work. Make sense? So that's your pretty much your extra credit here. Please choose the option with chicken, quantity 1, how spicy, like okay, 1 spicy, special instruction, no MSG, right? Confirm. There you go, I add the cart already.
Can we set it up so that when we figure it out and we order food, it sends you like a text message with our order?
Yeah, that's what we want. Send to email and text.
And we just keep ordering food and blow your email up.
Yes. That what we want, yeah. That's actually exactly what we want to enhance. Are you sure you want to order this? Yes. Okay. So are you ordered like in the restaurant, or you are actually pick up, or you want to delivery? Huh?
You should sell that app.
Yeah. I mean, this is my app.
That's what I'm saying. You should sell it to like a restaurant.
Yeah, that what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make them use for even for free. We just support them, and now you get a job. That's why if you do extra credit, you involve in this, you can actually contact me. I can pretty much have, if I have someone, I can hire you because you're new to the code. Then you get extra credit for the class. Win-win situation, right? I mean, like I told you, these are all the students that pretty much like teach and like this and they work. This is like our student work. I'm teaching you to be able to do the work. Like it's not just that like you can just find a job with your profile now. I know how to do this. So let's see who's not hiring you. Correct? I mean, like I said, at least I will hire you for sure. Right? If you know how to do it. So, and now this is a place to learn. Like you start to read the source code that are existing. I tell you what to enhance, and this is extra credits. You don't have to do it. But if you feel like your test score is not good, you want to learn more, you want to involve, you got extra credits. Okay, no mandatory. So that's why I want you to start to look at. I think that is to be fixed, huh? All right. Order success. All right. So you could subscribe. Right. Next step. It should prove that if I open my email, I should receive that order. If I open my text, it should text to me. That's the enhancing. Like now, I didn't get it. Right. It should be like that. I got the order. Make sense? But now this is like the third party, but we want to make it in-house. Okay, that makes sense. So that's the goal. Like now, you can see it's pretty much almost complete. Right, it just get notification to the phone and emails, right, by text message and emails. That's what we need to do and enhance like testing to make sure it works. And that's one enhancement. The second enhancement is you should talk to like we have API now, right? So the restaurant API itself is going to provide the picture of the menu, the price of the item, and description of the item. Like now it's just the placeholder, right? Okay. Like now this pretty much just, if you read the code, let's say entree, right? Now we start to read the code, how it works, right? This is settings, my orders, things like that. That's broke. That need to be fixed. When I hit my order, it's pretty much just had a bug, right? So it's terminate my program. That's another thing that we have to look at, right? You can do ask yes, keep this page, or the ask yes, right? So now let's take a look. All right, so we start to export the code now. Remember, this has skip. Skip is pretty much has ID TV launch skip, right? So we said, okay, go back to your code. So it should be under. So this is what activity launch. So activity launch. You see the name of the code is matching, right? So activity launch. And we're looking for what? TV launch skip. See that? TV launch sign in, TV launch sign up. Pretty much all the buttons that we see, right? Sign up, sign in. So they, like I already teach you, right? Text view by ID, right? So you get the instance name. So now we just say when you click, set on click listener, right? Right, so the text itself, you can set the click listener to. This is another way to look at. You listen to this. That means this class. Okay, this refer to this class activity launch. Okay, meaning that you're gonna see on click right there. This class has a method on click because this class implements view.onClickListener. If you remember last time, when we look at the code, let me review your code, Math Apps, right? We've been talking about Math Apps, right? So when you click on each button, right, like may get first and then odd numbers. So if you look at that button, so I get the button, right, the odd button, right? And what did I do? If you go down to odd button, so I just do set on click listener, right? Dot click set on click listener, and I create new view dot on click listener has a method on click, right? That's one way, right? This is called an inner class, right? Anonymous inner class. Okay, you learn this more in 201. It's good that I introduce you now, but you don't have to get yourself like too frustrated. You just say, hey, this is like your if statement, like if it's true or if it's click, I do this. But this is the way that you do on click. Okay? Yes.
I don't think we've covered it yet, but for the inner classes, I thought I remember seeing something in the book. Is that when you start doing private void stuff like that, or is it still public?
Let me show you. Okay, I think I thought I show you a little bit on. You can always go back and review this. That's why JavaFX is a good place to learn this concept. Okay, like I start to introduce you to JavaFX with the button, right? So this is called action event listener. So this is going to be under. You can review chapter. I think. Let me. It's called event handler. So event driven programming right there. 15 basic. 14 is very basic, right? Now 15 is going to talk about the event handler, like what we try to do on click. What you do, you handle the event, right, which is on click. So if you go down to chapter 15, it's event driven programming, right? So let's look at what is it like. Example, when I click the button, I should have an event to handle. And what should I handle, right? Like event mean click, right? Clicking event, or on slide event, on tap event, on mouse over event. Those are event, how you want to handle, right? So if you look at the example, button, right, set on action. See that? Like the one that we have here is what? Let's review our set on click listener. See that? Same concept, right? Yeah, same concept. Set on action, set on click. It's just different name, right? And this is how you handle it. Handler. This is called OK handler class. It's create a new class. See that? But this is an inner class. This is like just regular class, create a new instant like you do every time, right? But since this you're going to handle only once, there's no reason to create different objects. So we just do call inner class, right? And now what does it do? Pretty much you have to look at OK handler class. This is two different class, not inner class. You see that? Two different class. So pretty much this guy had the method handle to say, hey, button is click. Now if you look at this, it's the same thing. Like you don't have to separate the class. We just make it an inner class. You just say, hey, I want to create a method on click, and this is what I do when I click. The same thing like you have another class and method to do. Make sense? So this is how it works, the event listeners. That's the simple concept. Like event could be mouse event, key event, action event. Right, set on action if you use the action event like button, text field, like all the object, not just the button, you can add event to it. Like in this case, this object is what? Text view, right? You add object, you add event to it, set on a click listener. See that? When it hits skip, what does it do? Since it's called this, then make the same class, technically. The same class that implements the on-click listener. Okay, you learn this concept. Okay, meaning that they have the method on click, right? And then you can say view that we get when we click. Since they all listen to the same, that means if the button skip, button sign in, or button sign up, you switch case. See that cast is a sign in button. This is what we're going to do. Cast is the sign up button. This is what we're going to do. Cast is skip button. This is what we're going to do. Like now, since I hit the skip button, so it's going to update item from database, right? So pretty much the list that you see, right, pull up from the database. So when you go to update item from database, so it's hard-coded appetizers categories. See that? Okay. And then this is pretty much get item from database. Get menu price, name, description. So that's pretty much how you see that. And this is an image of the food, just link to the URL. Price for now, it's all hard-coded. Right, option, beef, chicken, pork. See that? Man, just activate the loop because you have so many items. So it's going to use the loop to make it populate the list of items. That makes sense? So the enhance function is, I actually don't want it to be hard-coded like this. I want it to talk to the API. Okay. So the list of enhancement that we're talking about, right? That, like I said, you can pick one for your extra credit, right? First one is sign in with like Facebook, sign in with Google Plus. Right now we don't have that. Make sense? Right. So, and if you want to sign in, register using the restaurant API. Like now we didn't do that. It's all loading through database. Like loading menu from restaurant API. Just like what's API? API pretty much just like you can always use Facebook API, Google API. If you deal with the maps, use Google Map API. Right. So what is it? It's pretty much just a place where you can get the data. That's it. You like Google like API, right? Application program interface, right? So they have so many things, like so many API you can use. Like for example, you can even use like let's search for Google has so many APIs, right? Map. Google Map API. Street build. So this is the parameters that you have to provide, right? And then it's going to return the data back. Let's see. So let's see, this is place ID, page size 100. So it's just like a method that we're gonna learn today, right? So like you pass the value to it, right? View, basic view. These are the values that we want to pass. So this is the request and the response back. So seamless response 200 is asked for my API key, right? So it's based on the parameter values that you provide, you send to the server, and then it's going to pretty much just respond back. Yeah, I technically get the link that technically should show the result, right? But I probably want to provide my API key otherwise, because they have to authorize me to view it. You technically can get the Google Map API key. You can just get a key. I mean, you can get your own key, so it's pretty much free, right? The key. So let's test. I get this response, right? I just need to paste the key right there. I'm not authenticated. So it's not just respond on something that I need to look at what happened to my request. It's not authorize me, right? Authenticate me to get the data back. Okay, but if it's fine, then it should return the data back as I request, right? So let's look at let's try this one. Copy this. This is your key. Like what I try to do is I try to write an application. There you go, I got the data back, right? So I try to write an application to use Google Map. So technically I try to pretty much just this is a key that I asked for it to access to the API. So they just authorized by the key, then they pretty much know who used the API, right? The data that's going to return for me, this pretty much just is return pretty much all the data. But if you try to get, like for example, I want to get the location based on lat long, right? Let's say how you're going to get the location on the map. You pretty much rely on Google API, right? Adding marker clustering, right? So it's going to show you how to pretty much just do like marker based on the location, right? And you just need to provide your API keys. Okay, so technically this is just a sample source code, right, that you technically can use, but this is pretty much in the term of HTML code. Like they already have sample code for you. You probably just need to get your key, right? Your API key right here, and this is an HTML code, so I'm going to save it as like test.html Google API test. Okay. I have to make sure it's HTML, right? Alright, so let's see. I go back. I'm going to open this. Use Chrome. So it returns the data for me based on the code that you want, pretty much. But this is the sample code. And then technically you can use this in your code. Like for example, I can embed this map onto my app. There is show location, right? Things. This is an example of how you use API. Now my I just started to show you. It's just like meta things that you pass in, you will get return. You pass in, you get return, right? Pass what? Pass like lat long, you get return your location, right? Based on API, right? Google API, something like that. So our class for this time, like I said, for your final project, you technically can enhance that by using the API is already created. But if you want to use that model, I'll show you again later how to access to that API. Okay, for the restaurant is already created. Like for example, this is the restaurant that being tested. Like all the menu here is technically get data from the API. It was loaded by the API. View page source. This is pretty much an HTML source code, okay. Menu. I try to find if they have the API showing here that links to it. Alright, let's see it here. So, right, I'll show you, okay, again, how you link to this API. But this is an example, like, these are all pretty much just get pull it from the web API, like scampclassics.com/get menu items. Okay, so that's the API. So that is an option that you can enhance, right, to get the data from that. Okay. Instead of solid coded like that. Alright. Now, let's come back to talk about our methods, right? So, in our class exercise, you start to see we have created like simple statements: if, else, switch case, loops, right? So those are pretty much just how you control, right, your code. The methods pretty much just make it like a modules. Like what's that? Like for example, we learned how to use math, right? Math class. Math is pretty much an API too. We've been talking about API, right? Application Program Interface, right? So, very simple, right? Like, if I want to find square root, do I need to really implement my own square root? Or I want to find my location on the map, do I really need to implement that? No, I can just go ahead and use Google API, right? I just need to pass what do I need to pass? Lat long, right? They get location on the map. Same thing, if I want to find square root, do you need to implement your own how to find square root? No, you can just use Java API, right? Math class. So you just need to learn how to use Google API. You just need to learn how to use Math Java API. That makes sense? And what you need to pass in? The value that you want to find, right? Like square root of 4, just pass 4 in. And then you get the result return. That's why I tried to show you earlier that the API that we look at, like Google API, you can see I tried to pass the value, right? I tried to pass the value to the form, and I try to get the returns value back. Like that, right? So this is pretty much just like the number, like square root 4 or whatever, and execute, then returns 2 back. So this is just respond back with result. Make sense? But this is just something else. Like this is pretty much some Street View API. I want to get a Street View back based on this value, right? So that's a concept of pretty much just you want to design your program in the term that it takes the parameter. See that? Like as a method or the modules. Like it takes x is return the like x to the 10. Make sense? Then if you can design your program into like these modules, then you can technically create API. Right? So next step, we pretty much learn how to create API, like to find x to the 10. Right? And then from your app, you can just talk to this API. Then you get the data all the time. It's just like help desk center. Make sense? It's just like Matrix. You remember when Keanu Reeves is jumping on the chopper, and then he just get API how to fly the chopper. Right? By passing the model of the chopper in, and then he get response back here how you fly it. Yeah, that's the same thing. That's just like an API, right? That's why when you design program now, you should design like modules. You don't want to cluster everything in one main method. You want to separate them. This module do this module do this. And then you just make sure that this module can take the parameters. Like, hey, the chopper model, right? The helicopter model that is returns how you fly. That's it. That's about the methods. But we just make it so simple first to learn. So let's see. Let me start with a sample. Yeah, that's why when we talk about this extra credit, like if you think about different restaurants going to have what different menus, correct? To make it very simple, I just pass in the restaurant name. I return the menu back based on the name. That's it. Just like that, right? So we have to create an API to support that. Make sense?
For like multiple restaurants?
Yeah. And no one have done this, I'm telling you.
No? No one has multiple, so... Okay.
It's just me that I'm going to do that. I'm going to publish this. You're going to see me in 5 years, 10 years, I'm going to launch this. I can be just one of the Grubhub or E24.
So no one has made an API of multiple restaurants before? Alright guys, we all get together and get into it.
That's why I'm making it now.
Or is there an integration?
Like basically what you wanted to do is that you're gonna have like a list of restaurants, and then you're gonna select the restaurant, and then it'll give you the menu.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're gonna like, okay.
And then you can just change any platform.
But I had a question too. Is the iOS like app process similar to the Android, or is it like completely different?
Different.
Like way different.
Absolutely different. Just like PC and Mac. I don't know why they want to do that, but they try to make us pain. Just like driving Mercedes and driving Toyota is different, and Ferrari.
Do you like coding for Apple and Silicon?
Huh?
Have you coded for Apple and Android, or just for Android?
I'm more into like PC, Java, and I invest on Apple, but there's no time to. I start to test a little bit writing. It's a little bit different, but the logic is pretty much the same. But I just don't have enough time to complete
So
everything.
you like Android better?
So I'm actually looking forward intern for Apple. If you're interested, I want to build this in Apple.
For Apple PC?
Or I'm going to plan to do outsource. Or even you just tell me how much you want to charge. Okay, you can contact me and let me know if I can afford to pay you do it. I say I'm paying you. You can get a job from me. You don't need to look for anywhere else, and you can learn from me. I can guide you and teach you how to do it. I just don't have time to implement it. Okay. So now let's come back to our like I said, when I teach you, I want to make sure you can do the work. Okay. I teach it different, right? I didn't teach you just the basic. I do both. I just try to make it make more sense. What you learn, how you adapt to it. Does that make sense? You not just learn like 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, and why I have to learn this, right? So, I mean, it's going to be more fun. That's why when you start to learn and know more and more, you just feel like it's fun. Okay, because you can the knowledge power. You can adapt it, right? So now. And I never, I always share the knowledge because whenever you give more, you always get more, you learn more when you give. Just like when you always donate to something, people will think about you and then you get more back. So that's why I always like to give more knowledge. What I know, I just tell you everything. And then I actually going to learn more that way too. Okay. So I want you to do the same. Okay. So let me show you the method, right? So let's us start from the simple Java class that we know first, and then we're gonna walk through how to apply that on Android, right? So I'm going to let's create a new project, simple project, right? Java. SDK 1.8. So alright, so we're going to say method demo. So create a new class. So this is going to be, let's talk about math, right? Math function, right? Because I'm going to base on this one, right? So you're required to implement or create the methods below here. Alright, so let's talk about simple method, right? So first method that you learned so far is what? That is correct, main method, right? Public static void main string. This is one method, and this is the main method. That means it's the main. When you run, it's right from the main. So let's say I want this guy to say hello. I create the method name hello, right? So technically, I can create another method named public static void hello. And what does it do? It just say hello. It's just like hello world, but I just call the method to say hello. That makes sense? So that's it. That's how you create a method. And this method always, when you call hello, it's going to say hello. That's it. Very simple, right? You just create another method with the name. Like this is a main. This is hello. Say hello. So if I want to talk to say hello 100 times, I just say loop, right? In equals to in I equal to 0, I less than 100, I plus plus. So I run that. It's going to call hello 100 times because keep calling, right? Now I want to, now method should take parameter, I said, right? So I want to get the name of the person I want to hello to, right? So the name go there. Now I pass in hello David, so it should say hello David. So method should take parameter. Make sense? But the way to design method, you don't really want to do print like that. You should just return the values. Why? Because if you do print, it's always print out in console. You may want to do dialog box, the option pane pop up, right? You want to show on Android, things like that. Then you can actually use this hello, right? So you should just say return like that instead, right? Return. And instead of void, when you return, you have to change it to string because you return string. If you return integer, it's just change into integer. Make sense? So in this case, whenever I call, I actually, if I want to print on the option pane, I could do so, right? So just j option pane dot show message dialog. I don't have to rely on like system.out anymore, right? So, and this is pretty much just going to return. That makes sense? Like the way you design, you should make it returns. Okay. So I get hello David. That makes sense. So now, technically, you could do the rest. Just x times 10, hx. So, like method could have one parameter. Like I just call method h. Now this is an integer x instead of string, right? And returns the power x to the power of 10. Pretty much it is what an integer that you want to return. So public static int. No longer void because it's going to return what? We want to do x times x 10 times, right? How do you do x times x 10 times? So it seems like loop is going to be a good choice, right? Because you multiply 10 times, right? Less than 10, right? And then I plus plus. What do you do? Just multiply, right? So you technically want to initialize the product equals to 1, and then you say product multiply equals to I. No, to x. Is that right? So you returns what? Product. Now, technically, if I want to ask the user, prompt the user to provide x, we could, and then we just call h of, let's say I want to do 10 to the 10, right? They should return the output of 10 to the 10. Okay? Why is it 8 at the end, huh? Ten to the 10. Maybe it's just so big. Let's say 2 to the 10. What's 2 to the 10? About that, right? Yeah, 1002. Yeah, maybe it should be long because it's gonna be so big. That's why may not be able to support that, right? Oh, you don't have to if you don't like. Yeah, you don't need to. Okay, that one person because concatenating, right? And you don't have to actually. You don't have to. Okay. I just try to group like in math you can omitting parentheses. You just do the please excuse my dear and Sally. Right? The rules. Same thing. So I think that it can take more than one parameters. Could be 2 and 3. Do you need me to show you or we good? Good, right? So pretty much you can just finish that up for the rest. So now, requirements, create method for, do not allow to use math class. Like here, I didn't use math class. I just loop, right? You technically can use math dot, right? Like instead of that, you could just do, if you use math, right? Like math is an API, right? You can technically do what? Math. Dot. You see that's the API have the methods, right? Pow, right? Pow is what? The first value to the 10. You could do that too. But pow is going to returns int, right? I just see what it's going to return. Require int. So you have to look at the data type whenever you deal with this. So it said you need to provide double and double. X and 10.0. Like this has to be double. And double X. Like now, I totally don't need this if I want to use met.pow. And it's totally may return double, I think. There you go. Right, so this is just an alternate, right, to use met itself. But again, I try to see that. I try to make you create your own. That's why I said you do not allow to use met. Okay. So create method to find a power, a square root, and an absolute. I think that the challenge is the power here. It should be simple, just iterate, right? Like show you to how many times instead of 10, just do y, right? Absolute just returns a positive. If it's negative, just multiply by the -1, make it positive. That's it, right? Square root is gonna be a challenge. So normally math.square root is going to give you square root for you, right? I mean, how are we gonna find square root? Okay. Maybe you have to talk to your math professor algebra and see what's the logic to find a square root. Square root is what? The both number that multiply and give you the result, right?
Well, it's just whatever number to the 1/2 power.
But how are you going to do 1/2 power here? You're not allowed to use math dot square math dot pow, right? So that's probably the challenge one about the logic, how to get the square root out. That makes sense? Okay. I think that's it for what we need to do, right? And implement Java program to use math.pow, math.square root. So first one, you create that, right? The second one, I want you to explore math class by getting the program to implement all of this method. This is pretty much on the test already, if you remember, right? I just want you to implement it. Okay. Alright, so we talked about two things. 5.1 deals next class. Final project will be due by the final day test. The week you can start to present. Okay, if you want to get extra credits.
Final, yeah. So the one with the restaurants, that's final project. But
These are the modules that you need to enhance, like placed order, send notification through email. Place order, send notification to text message. Okay. There's another one. Place order by calling to the phone number. Right, the phone number that's listed on the account. So let me create that model for you. Name final project. All right. Enhance the SAMPUS app. Okay. with the following modules. Now, this one will worth each item with 10%. Okay. Extra credit 10%. Okay. Technically, if you feel like your test score is not good, this is a chance to improve your test score. Okay. And you don't have to do from scratch because the code is already have. I show you it already. So you just need to understand and read the code.
And then make the improvements.
Right. Right. Like that. Right. You can clone the source code from this one, right? Alright. I think that's it. Any question for me?
There isn't control point control football.
Oh yes. Let me create that. Alright.